Hi, welcome back. We're doing a new organ system. This time we're talking about the endocrine system. So let's start with an overview of hormones, the different hormone types, and how they can signal each other. So first, let's compare the endocrine system with the nervous system because in some respects they're very similar. They both are what we call regulatory systems in that they regulate the other organ systems of the body. And they do this via chemical signals. In fact, some of the signals that they use are the exact same chemical compounds, and they both operate through that negative feedback system. However, the endocrine system also has sometimes a positive feedback mechanism. So the nervous system, as you've already learned, has very rapid millisecond communications. And so the responses are very quick. As soon as it reaches its receptor, opens up a channel, then it gets kicked off the receptor and usually is destroyed. And we call the chemical signals neurotransmitters. In contrast, the endocrine system, it has a much slower method of communication. And when things takes longer to communicate, the responses are going to stick around longer. And we are going to call the chemicals that cause these responses hormones instead of neurotransmitters. So, let's talk about what an endocrine gland is because we have two basic types of glands, and they both end with that root word crine, which just means to secrete. So, the first type of gland, the gland we talk about most of the time, like when you're talking about a sweat gland or when you're making oily face for acne, those are exocrine glands where the cells are making secretions and the secretions go to the surface of the cell, which usually goes into a duct, which goes onto the surface, maybe the surface of your skin or the surface of your hair, or it's going to the internal surface of your stomach or the internal surface of your intestine or some other part internally in your body. So those are exocrine glands. That's not what this organ system is. Exocrine glands are in many of our other organ systems. An endocrine gland, by contrast, the cells are making the hormones and they are secreting them into the bloodstream, usually, where they're going to be taken away. So, what is a hormone? Well, after it is secreted from the cell, it can only affect a cell that has a specific receptor for it. So that's very similar to the nervous system. You need a receptor for that hormone. So if it's thyroid hormone, it only fits in a thyroid hormone receptor. It won't fit in a growth hormone receptor. And so if a target cell has no receptors, it's not going to affect that cell. And remember, most cells have hundreds of different receptors. And the second thing is most hormones are going to travel in your bloodstream to act a long distance away from where they are being produced and secreted from. When we look at hormones, we classify them generally into two different structural categories. Peptide hormones are those that are made out of proteins or out of amino acids. Remember, amino acids are the building blocks for proteins. So if it's not a whole protein, it's just amino acid, it's still considered a peptide hormone. And then those that are lipid based or cholesterol based are called steroid hormones. So either the hormones are peptide hormones or they are steroid hormones. And what they do when they reach the target cell is totally different from each other. So let's look at that first. When we look at a peptide hormone, and here's a little peptide hormone, this little green triangle traveling along in the bloodstream. For some reason, it's showing it blue. It travels and it reaches this yellow cell. And right here on the plasma membrane, this purple thing is the receptor for that hormone, and it can bind to it. Okay. When a peptide hormone binds to its receptor, what that is going to do is going to trigger activation of an enzyme that was already made and sitting right, usually either attached to the plasma membrane of that target cell. So it's either a transmembrane protein or it's sitting on the inside of the plasma membrane right next to the receptor. And when the hormone attaches to its receptor, it activates that enzyme. And we don't have to know the name of the enzyme for this course. But when that enzyme is activated, it's going to work on our friend ATP. And what's going to happen is it's going to cut off two of the phosphate groups off of ATP, not creating ADP, but creating AMP. And what happens is the AMP forms this little circle thing here. So it forms something called cyclic AMP, which we abbreviated little c, capital AMP. And cyclic AMP is what we call a second messenger. It is now going to activate pre-made substances sitting in that target cell. So it's going to activate something, which is then going to work on something else, which may activate something else in the cell, which may activate something else, which then may activate something else. Or maybe it's just activating one thing, which is then causing something. Okay. But whatever it is activating something. So here is an example. It could be activating an enzyme, which would then break down glycogen, releasing glucose monomers. Okay. So peptide hormones basically are acting like first messengers binding to receptor proteins, activating an enzyme, converting ATP into cyclic AMP, which is a second messenger, activating something pre-made, causing a pathway that will have a cellular effect. And so because everything is pre-made, peptide hormones are faster to act than steroid hormones are going to be. And because they're fast acting, they're going to have a shorter duration of act than our steroid hormones are going to be. So now looking at our steroid hormones, the steroid hormone, because it's lipid soluble, is going to diffuse through the plasma membrane. Look, there's no receptor on the plasma membrane for it. Its receptor is inside the cell. It could be in the cytosol, as shown in this picture, or the receptor could be all the way in the nucleus, but it's going to be inside the cell. Okay, so the steroid hormone diffuses through the plasma membrane because it's lipid soluble, and then it's going to bind to its receptor protein, causing a hormone receptor complex, which then is going to make its way inside to the nucleus, where it's going to bind to a specific gene on the DNA. And when it binds to that gene, it's going to activate the gene. What does that mean? We're going to have transcription. At the end of transcription, we're going to do our little editing and we're going to end up with messenger RNA. And we all know what's going to happen to that messenger RNA. It's going to have to exit the nucleus through the nuclear pore, attached to ribosomes, and now we're going to have translation and create a new protein. And so this process of transcription and translation takes time. Notice nothing was pre-made sitting around waiting for the hormone to bind. Everything had to be made to order. This is a much slower process. And because it's a slower process, the effects are going to last longer. So, what are our steroid hormones? Well, only our ovaries and our testes, as well as our adrenal cortex, are going to produce steroid hormones. So, you got a pretty good idea. All of our sex hormones are going to be steroid hormones, but we got a couple other ones in there as well that you may or may not know about, like cortisol, you may already know about, but then there's another one you probably don't know about. But then there's another one, thyroid hormones. Even though they are not steroid hormones, they actually act like steroid hormones. Okay. So you got to think of this process when you're thinking of thyroid hormones. All right. So, as I've mentioned already, most endocrine signaling is this. The cell makes the hormone, it travels in the blood a long distance where it finds its target cell. If it's a protein, its target cell is on the surface. If it's a steroid hormone, its receptor, the target cell receptor is inside the cell. But that's how the cell signaling works. Sometimes hormones, instead of having endocrine signaling, have what we call autocrine signaling. Auto meaning cell. What this means is the same cell that secretes it actually has the receptors for it. Ladies, the smooth muscle of your uterus is an example of this. When you're having your menstrual cramps, the smooth muscle is releasing prostaglandins. These are hormones, and the target cells are the smooth muscle of your uterus. Okay. So if you're taking Tylenol as pain relief, you're only blocking the pain. But if you were to take a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medication such as aspirin, Aleve, Advil, it would prevent the release of the prostaglandin. We don't learn how in this course, but if you were to take physiology class, you would learn how that happened. So that would prevent the release of the prostaglandin, so you could not have the autocrine signaling. So if you can't have the autocrine signaling, then you can't have the smooth muscle contraction. So you can't even generate the pain. So even though nonsteroidals do have pain relief, you're not actually relying on the pain relief component of the nonsteroidal to block the pain relief. You're actually blocking the release of the hormone, which is kind of a cool phenomenon. And there's a third type of cell signaling, which is really involved a lot in our GI tract, as well as, for instance, if you get bit by a mosquito. And that is paracrine signaling. Para means on the side of, so this means nearby target cells. And that is this, for instance, we have these cells which are white cells which have moved into your local tissues. And when there is tissue damage, for instance, when a mosquito bites it or another allergic reaction, they are going to release histamine. And histamine binds to certain other cells and cause the typical inflammatory reaction, giving you the redness, the swelling, and the itchiness. Okay. Now, I want to point out something, the word pheromone, which a lot of students know about, and students think pheromones are hormones. Pheromones are chemical signals that are not hormones. They are chemical messengers that work outside the body. They influence other organisms. Yes, this is how dogs mark their territory. It's how coyotes mark their territories. Actually, very cool information was released this week, like up in Montana or Minnesota, where all these coyotes had, I don't know if they were apple markers or whatever, but they had their territories. And what they realized was that none of their territories were overlapping each other. The hundreds of miles of their territories. Also can be used for fear as well as attraction, nesting, and bonding. So, for instance, these pheromones coming from cats can warn mice of damage because they will activate certain neurons in the mice, generating in their limbic system fear. And so the mice will hightail it and run away if the mice are smart. If they don't activate those neurons, then the mice don't have fear from that cat. So if that cat doesn't have that particular pheromone, it won't happen. As humans, we have certain pheromones that affect us and actually can make us secrete certain hormones, which can influence our sexual desire and our bonding. And this is important for male female bonding as well as bonding with newborns and infants. All right, let's get back to the topic at hand. When we look at hormones, they're going to have specific actions. So some examples, they can change the structure of the cell, they can make cells increase the uptake of substances, they can change metabolism, increase or decrease it. Wait until I talk about specific hormones and then learn what's specific for that hormone. Don't worry about this slide. I just want you to realize that different hormones work differently. All right. So when we look at hormones, realize their levels fluctuate and that we have like this average concentration, and we can kind of call it, this is our set point, okay? We're going to kick out hormones until we reach our set point. And once we hit that set point, we're going to quit making that hormone. Realizing, of course, yeah, because we made it, we're going to release it so the hormone levels will get a little bit higher, but we're not making any more. And then the hormone levels are going to start going down. And then once they're below the set point, we're going to start making some more, but realize the hormone levels still going to be going down while we're starting to make some more. And then the hormone levels are going to start going back up. Okay. So this secretion is usually controlled by negative feedback. So assume it's negative feedback unless I'm telling you it is positive feedback. Okay. And so that means the secretion is going to continue until they get the message to stop, which is it has reached its set point. And this is how we're going to maintain homeostasis. So there's going to be a little pathway that every now and then I'm going to ask you to practice. So the way it's going to work is you're always going to put the name of the hormone we're talking about first. Okay, growth hormone, thyroid hormone, whatever the hormone is. It's going to be produced into the blood level of what? What was out of range? Was it the level of growth hormone? Was it the salt concentration? Was it the blood pressure? What was out of whack that caused that hormone to be produced? Hits the set point, at which negative feedback. So with negative feedback, we need to know two things: what and where. I don't care which one you put first. I happen to put the where followed by the what. So tell me the location, tell me the organ. Okay, for most things, it's the organ. When we come to the pancreas, you're going to have to tell me specifically the location in the pancreas. Okay, and then what hormone. Okay, so I'll have this at the appropriate time when we get to the slides. All right, so that's it for this introductory part. Thank you so much. And when we'll come back, we're going to be talking about specific hormones. We'll be getting to the nitty gritty.